Salutations.
Baby.
Okay.
You hear me okay?
Uh-huh.
Okay. I know. Let me get this a little closer. Had a weird echo. Here we go. Blah, 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 blah.
Blah, 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 blah. That's what we could do. Why don't we just do a whole show where instead of actually saying any words,
Blah, 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 blah.
yeah,
Blah,
blah, blah,
blah, blah, blah, blah, blah,
blah,
blah,
blah,
blah,
blah,
blah,
blah,
blah,
blah,
blah,
blah,
blah,
blah,
blah,
blah,
blah, blah,
blah,
blah,
blah,
blah, blah.
blah, 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 and then blah, 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 blah.
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 Okay, hold on. Making sure the thingy is the thingy and the thing got boo boo. There we go. Shall we just jump right in then?
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
I can only see half your head.
Half?
I can see your nose and one eye.
But-
and
Because
because you're leaning back. Oh well, because the Riverside is showing me the center, not the whole.
Oh, I see.
frame.
And actually, what I saw. Okay, I did. Okay, here's the interesting thing.
Because it's showing me like a vertically.
Okay, all right. You've got the vertical. I've got it, or it's horizontal. One on top of the other. So I see me in there, no problem.
See,
now if I go and I widen my browser, then it puts me vertical, then I can't see myself, then I just see an elbow. Well, that sucks. Hold on. Well, okay, hang on.
There you go.
Wait.
Okay.
Oh, fuck. What the?
You're just gonna put yourself in the middle.
No, okay, I have to. Oh, fuck. Hold on. I can fix this. I can do this.
Oh, you're gonna do the auto tracking thing. Of course, that makes me dizzy the whole damn.
No.
time.
I'm not gonna do the auto tracking. What I'm gonna do is I can. There we go. I can. I can pan and
manually. Okay.
Yes, you can do it manually. Yeah, you can do it there. So I just pan the camera.
Good enough.
Manually.
And then you can be laid back in your chair like you are instead of sitting up straight.
Right, because I'm old. I'm tired. I did. Well,
I understand. Shall we just start the show?
Yes.
Okay, here we go. Blah, blah. Here we go.
Blah, 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 blah. Get Sam dizzy.
It's a wonderful world. Here you go.
There.
Welcome to Curmudgeon's Corner for Friday, April 18th, 2025. It's just after 2:30 UTC as we're starting to record. I'm Sam Minter, and Yvonne Boa is here again for the whole show, not just the 15-minute recording he sent in. So, welcome, Yvonne.
I did send the recording. Hello.
No, that was great. That was great. And, I talked around it. I reacted to you.
I did the best I could.
It was fun.
I went to 3 funerals for 4 people in 1 week.
That is quite a lot.
I don't remember when the last time I had been to a funeral. It had to have been years and years. Well, the last funeral that we had in the family, unfortunately, it was during COVID. We couldn't get together for it.
Right.
It was right at the start of the pandemic.
I think I had 2 last year. One was for an uncle of mine.
Okay.
That I attended via Zoom. And the other was for my sister's grandfather, my step grandfather, as it were. That I attended a few months earlier, and I included the eulogy for that on the show.
Yes. I remember this. Yes.
But but and then my mother's last remaining brother passed away last year as well, and that one's the one I attended
fucking
via
blows.
Zoom.
Well, so the thing is that there was only one there was only one relative of mine, and actually the one for my relative is the one that caused me to have to change all my plans, because the thing is that this is one of my father's first cousins, and I did share, her bit on our Slack, because I during a time when women never got educated. Okay, I had two of my elderly like women, ancestors. Okay, my grandmother and this first cousin that both graduated from college before the age of 20 because they were that fucking smart. Okay,
Right.
and proceeded to go and like get master's degrees and shit like this.
And what years are we talking? Like when would
In
they
the
have been?
20s, in the 1920s and 30s.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, this is not normal. This is a time when no women did this. Okay, and
Or
so
at least it was very rare.
it was very rare. It was very rare.
I believe my grandmother, my mother's mother, also was college educated in the 1920s, early 30s, whatever. But yeah, it was it stood out.
Well, it was more rare from Puerto Rico. Okay, yeah. All right. Add to that, Puerto Rico was extremely poor and uneducated at that time. Okay, so and the fact that she came to the U.S. to do her master's. Okay, also
nice.
That was not normal. She went to the University of Florida to do. It was doing that, and she met her husband there. The person who became her husband, and they moved there. He happened to be from Palm Beach County, and so they lived here. I'd seen him a few times. I didn't see his office I would like, but we did have a good. We always had a good relationship with them. Always very helpful, always very kind, and so she passed away. She was 95. The one thing is that she was very, with my brother specifically, she was very close. So my brother, who was in Texas, hard to do is he hopped on a plane and came over for the service. And so so I had to, I was like, well, I didn't have to, but I'm like, my brother's coming to town, he doesn't live here, and I'm like, well, fuck, I'll go pick you up at the airport. And but the thing is that in between all of that, the weekend before, I have like 3 friends that went to school with me in Puerto Rico that live here that I talk to that are close. 2 of them had their fathers die. Okay, pretty close to each other. Okay, and then one of them had their sister die as well, unfortunately at age 49 of cancer. Right. So the service the week before was for the father and the sister at the same fucking time. So it's one of the funny thing about this is that this is somebody who, while I was growing up, from very elementary school all the way through high school, I slept at their house all the time. Probably it's the place that I slept away from my house the most during that time. Okay, during all those years, and so I spent a lot of time. So I knew her, I knew her parents, her brothers, cousins. I stayed with them a lot. I mean, I stayed over there a lot. I mean, and so we were that close. And so, but one thing is that, we never really went to church, but we did a Catholic service. And I was making the joke that, to them, because there was like still four male brothers that are alive. Okay. All right. And I said, what the fuck is this? We've got the worst bunch of fucking Catholics doing a Catholic service. Why the fuck are we doing this? They all laughed. I was like, what the fuck else are we supposed to do? Well, yeah, good point. What the hell else are we gonna do? Also, from that one is, as I came to find out, one of the cousins who came was some MAGA dickhead, and he started spouting up some MAGA stuff. And my the discussion started. It was around asylum specifically, and I guess he was very upset about people getting asylum. And that the U.S. Why the fuck do we have to take more people? Why the hell do we give asylum to more people than anybody? And my buddy who went to high school, by the way, remember this guy? I think that his education, whatever it was, is not very good. My buddy whose dad passed, his sister. Remember, it was his brother. Sister.
Okay. Yep.
He went to Johns Hopkins. Okay. All right. He's an engineer. He's a pretty bright guy. Okay. I got me. I'm not that stupid either. And I got this moron. This guy. No. We know. No. We know this guy. I mean, if this guy maybe got a certificate from Trump U or something, he's starting to argue with him about statistics. He's arguing with a guy whose father died at his house. And so he starts giving him shit. I hear this, and I hear him try to tell him how he knows more about it, and saying how all these immigrants get everything they want, and I just look. I saw his girlfriend is also rolling her eyes at this, and I fucking lost it. I went and I just said, "Listen, fucker. Free shit? You mean to tell me that all those fuckers that are cutting the grass outside of here and fucking fixing their roofs, they're coming in and they're living? What free shit are they getting, you dumb dickhead?" And let me tell you, and after I said that, let me tell you something. I don't even want to have this fucking discussion. We're at a fucking funeral. At these kind of gatherings, you don't talk about politics or fucking religion. So why don't you just shut the fuck up?
And then there was a round of applause.
Basically, what I heard afterwards was that's exactly what happened. That they all were like, "Oh, thank God somebody shut him the fuck up."
Right.
So that was my good deed for that weekend. And then came the next weekend where the funeral mass was for this other friend that I know her. I hadn't been as close with her, but she went with me also from elementary school. These are two people that died, are both people that I went to elementary school that I've known through my life. Okay, so it's quite a long ways. We were in the same class together, and her father died. And the thing is, I told her, yes, I'm gonna come to the mass, because I met your dad. I've seen her dad, but we socialize regularly, so it's not like I don't see her. So I said, no, I'm going to come over, because I know, they're going to do it here because her parents have moved up here. And so that was at 10 a.m. And then at 1 o'clock was the other service. And so I literally, the day of those services, to go through all these services, pick up my brother, take him up to go back. I wound up driving over 200 miles to go all over to do this. The service for my friend was very small, but my dad's cousin, she had 7 kids. And then listen, the number of 7 kids, those got married, grandchildren. Listen, there were hundreds of people at this service. This is just the family part. Just the family part was just a ridiculous amount of people. Okay. So that was an awful big service. The other one was very small. Okay. In part because they hadn't lived up here that long. And I think some people did come from out of town, but not as many. I think that they actually went to Puerto Rico to do a service there. So this was like the final service, but they did something there. So this shit's not fun.
No. I mean, people always try to make like funerals like a celebration of their life and a happier thing, but they're still sad.
I mean, I did, there were some funny jokes that were thrown around and some stuff, and it was sometimes good to see certain people you hadn't seen in a while. And I will say that one of the biggest reasons to to do this is to provide some comfort to those that are
The closest to them.
the suffering, because it's it's hard. Um, you know, I mean, so that's basically the main thing. You go there to be there for them. And actually, one of the things you talk about a celebration, we do make, it is funny to bring up some anecdotes about stuff that happened with them and stuff over the years that, you laugh about shit, whatever, whatnot. That's always, it's all, and you get to, sometimes there are certain people that you hadn't seen in a long time that you get to see. So and I took the opportunity that, because my brother was here, that I mean, my brother doesn't live here, so you don't get to do this that often. My dad and my brother, we all went to lunch with Manu too.
Right.
So we all got to do that. So so that was a thing. But
Very good.
yeah, so my somber
I am hoping there will be less funerals for you next week.
well, here's the one thing. We got less people to kill now. It is one thing about, I guess, getting to a little bit to this age. Everybody starts fucking dying. I found out that my actually, I was told last Friday when I came in, I bumped into who is my boss's boss.
Okay.
Who's a friend of mine. So I know. So when I took my brother to lunch after the airport, he goes and he sees me. What are you doing? Aren't you working? I'm like, dude, I'm going to look. He was giving me shit. He's like, is this at a restaurant? He was at the fucking restaurant. I'm like, listen, yeah, we're going to a fucking funeral. Give me a fucking break. And he's like, oh, get out of here. I'm like, and I found out that the guy who is his direct report, who's my boss's boss, his father was in hospice. Okay.
Right.
And he just happened to pass away yesterday as well. Now, he happens to be in Argentina, so I sent his condolences. I don't think I'm gonna travel to Buenos Aires for that one. I didn't actually know him. I mean, I know him, but I don't know his father. But I on that one, I just sent my condolences. I mean, that was
right,
and so that one. But yeah, so I don't know. Getting too many people dying around me right now. I hope this isn't rubbing off. I got wood or something. Got to do something. What do you do for good luck? We like toss salt over my shoulder. I don't know, something.
Well, the wood thing is one of the superstitions.
The wood. I don't know. Yeah, this is okay. Wood. Okay, yeah, wood is one. I don't know. Need to do
Is it real wood? Or did you just talk on plastic? Or
no. There's real wood there. Yes, there's real wood.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, so there is real wood. Yeah.
Then it's okay. Then it'll work. You know,
if it's fake wood, then I'm gonna kill. That means I just sentenced somebody to death.
Exactly. That's how it works.
That would be bad.
Okay.
All right. So all right. Enough with the gloom and doom.
Which
well, I actually want to know what the hell I'm talking about. We're gonna talk about the news. The fuck am I saying?
Yeah, well,
this is the happy frothy part at this point.
Well, I will do a movie next. However, it's a kind of dark movie too. So
fuck this! Can't you pick no? Pick a happy movie. Can't you like
no? I'm going in order.
Fuck this!
So and then after that, like you said, we'll take a break.
What is it, Schindler's List that we got like now or something? Jesus Christ! Yeah,
no, Not yet. Although I did watch that recently. That recently. So
that's a fucking depressing movie. It's a well-made movie, and it's fucking like depressing as all balls.
Yeah, I'm not going to talk about it now. But Alex and I watched that like within the last few weeks. So it'll probably be a year.
Trying to explain to people.
Okay, I guess we are talking about it.
Well, no. Okay, no. I'm going to talk about Liam Neeson, who's the star. Okay. Trying to explain to people that Liam Neeson was a serious, dramatic actor, and that he didn't become an action star until many years later, it's one of those bizarre things that you realize at how fucking old we are because you get, oh no, Liam Neeson, like, all these action movies, whatever, action movies. Yeah, that's listen, even even Liam Neeson himself said as an older guy, he was like, listen, I don't know. They said that I should do this movie. I thought it was crazy. How's this going to work? I'm an old guy now. I'm going to be an action star. And then all of a sudden, blammo. I'm like, the action star of the.
Let me tell you, and this is getting ahead of things, but we watched Schindler's List one week, which has Liam Neeson.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it was the very next movie we watched.
Yeah.
Was The Phantom Menace, which also has Liam Neeson.
Now, but here's the thing. Somebody was arguing with me. Oh, he was in The Phantom Menace. That's an action movie. I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. No. I'm sorry. Nobody equates like Chuck Norris, like action movie with like Star Wars. Star Wars is a sci-fi movie that has action.
Let me add. Then within a short amount of time after that, we also watched like Batman Rises or whatever it is, the third Batman movie, which had him in it as well as a cameo. He was in Batman Begins in a more prominent role, but it had flashbacks to that one.
Listen, can I be honest?
Anyway, but the point is, we had like multiple movies in a row with Liam Neeson.
And
it was like, what the hell? Is this the same guy? It's like,
can I just say something?
It's like Schindler really took a turn later and became a Jedi. What the fuck?
Well, I think he was a Jedi first before he was. Oh wait, no, Schindler first, right? Then he became a Jedi, and then he became an assassin.
And whatever he was in Batman,
right? Well, here's okay. Can I just say that you just mentioned these Batman movies
and a bunch of other stuff.
Listen. They've made so many Batman movies. I gotta be honest. I watched the Batman that had Michael Keaton and Jack Nicholson.
Yes.
And I think that I watched.
By the way, I just want to say, the movie that I will be talking about is a Jack Nicholson movie. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so there we go. We got Jack Nicholson all over. And then I think I watched The Dark Knight.
Okay.
That's it. And I think, and by the way, I did not watch The Dark Knight because I wanted to watch it. It's just because I was somewhere and somebody put it on. But there have been so many fucking Batmans and Batman movies in the last 30 fucking years. It's fucking confusing. And I've never seen, how the hell could they reboot the same fucking character like 5 fucking different times in 30 years? And they've milked the shit out of it somehow, and people keep watching it too.
Yeah, and there have been multiple Supermans and multiple Spider-Men, and
But I don't think there have been as many fucking. Well, the Spider-Mans are also confusing. I think I also watched the first one, and then the rest I'm like, oh, fuck off.
Well, whatever. And then they brought them together, like
right.
Yeah. So anyway, yes.
It's not, come on, get the fuck out of here, you guys. Just, fuck all of you. I mean, seriously.
Okay. So my actual movie for today is another one of these AFI 100 Years, 100 Movies ones. And as folks who've listened a while know, I've been slowly working. This is the 1998 list that came out on the 100th anniversary of the invention of movies. And so it was the 100 best movies from the first 100 years that movies existed. They put out an updated list in 2007, but it's the 1998 list that I'm going through. I am pretty sure I started at number 100, if not in 1998, then fairly soon afterwards. So you can tell it's been a while. As of the one I'm going to talk about today, the one I'm talking about today is number 19 on the list.
19.
But I will mention that, I watched, what was it? I watched this back in July, and we have
Yeah.
accelerated because as of right now, this very second, we're about to enter the top 5. Like the next one from this list
Ooh.
that I'm going to watch is number 5. So we're almost done. And Alex and I have actually decided that once we have finished with number 1, we're going to start the 2007 list.
Okay.
And so just at number 100 and work our way back up. Because they revised it, they dropped some things, they added some things, whatever. Anyway, number 19 was Chinatown from 1974.
Oh,
As I mentioned,
I've watched this movie.
It's Jack Nicholson and Faye Dunaway. And obviously, it's, we're at the point in the top 100 list where every single one has won lots of awards and been nominated for more. It had 11 Academy Award nominations: Best Picture, Best Director, Best Actor, Best Actress, Best Original Screenplay, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And fundamentally, like I won't spoil the end, but like the beginning of the plot summary on Wikipedia. In 1930s Los Angeles, a woman identifying herself as Evelyn Mulray hires private investigator J.J. Jake Gittes, that's who Jack Nicholson plays, to trail her husband Hollis, the chief engineer at the Department of Water and Power. Gitz photographs Hollis in the company of a young woman, and the pictures make their way to the Post Record, exposing their apparent affair. Gittes is then confronted by the real Evelyn Mulray, who threatens to sue him. He concludes that the imposter was using him to discredit Hollis. And then it continues. There's like corruption in like 1930s LA with the government and the contracting for the water, and there's organized crime and blah, blah, blah. And, all of this and all kinds of intrigue. Thumbs up. It was very good. I will tell you the ending, like I had not seen this movie before. I had not heard of the movie. Well, I'd heard of it. I had not known the plot of this movie. So I basically came in knowing nothing about this movie. Other than, it was called Chinatown and it was on the AFI list. That was about all I knew. And it had Jack Nicholson. The ending gutted me. It was like, because I did not know what was coming. I had no spoilers, and it was a very powerful ending. And the whole thing was good. I mean, you would expect that from being at number 19.
Now I'm not sure
like
if I didn't that I watched this. Okay, so now I'm gonna have to fucking watch this damn thing.
And apparently, there was a 1990 sequel called The Two Jakes.
I heard about that one.
I have not watched that yet. I assume it does not have the same reputation as the original. But whatever. I'll probably watch The Two Jakes eventually. But Chinatown, it's sort of like one of these. Normally, like, I don't like 1970s movies, I've found.
Okay.
But I think it's really the 1970s movies set in the 1970s that are really trying to, like, there's this sort of, aesthetic of show all the grunge and everybody's bad and no one's sympathetic. And like, I'm thinking of various ones where there's like corrupt boxers or druggies or whatever. And it's like, I don't sympathize with anybody in this. And it's sort of just like horrible people being horrible. This one, like, tried to have, it felt like a movie. It was set in the 1930s, and it honestly felt more like a movie from a couple decades earlier. A little more violent, a little bit more overt violence than a movie like actually from like the 40s or 50s or whatever. But it had that sort of slow burn where, it's not non-stop action or anything like that. It's sort of the situation slowly builds up and the danger escalates, and you're wondering what's happening and who you can trust and what the motivations are and what's going on. And yeah, thumbs up. I liked it. Good movie. What else? That's about it. I mean, and I really should like do better. I need to catch up on these damn movies, because when I tried talking about them, like I watched this in July, so that's been what? August, September, October, November, December, January, February, March, April. That was 9 months ago. So my memory fades. I should do a better job of like talking about
notes.
Or you're just trying to make work for me.
Well, that's what I do.
I was just gonna say I should like catch up and like review these within a couple weeks of actually watching them, because then things would be a lot fresher in my mind. But I do remember I enjoyed it. But it was one of those that, we were, I'll eventually get to Schindler's List. But Schindler's List, for instance, is the kind of movie that you watch it and you're like, wow, that was an incredibly good movie. I do not want to watch it again anytime soon.
No. Yeah.
And
yes.
I think Chinatown fell in that same category for me. Like, it was good. I recognized it as good. It is not one I'm going to want to watch again anytime soon.
Okay, so I checked this last list that they have at the AFI,
the 2007 version.
Yeah, the latest one, they've got top 100. I've only watched about 29 of them.
Okay, you just went through the whole list.
Yeah, and I've watched like 29 of them.
Okay.
So
yeah, and by the way, Chinatown, like Wikipedia has the 1998 and 2007 list right next to each other and sortable, so you can like Chinatown was 19 on the 1998 list, but dropped to 21 for 2007.
It's over here at 21. Yeah,
and
so I've only watched like about a third of them. So okay,
you got some work to do.
Yeah.
Well, I was telling people on the show last week that you weren't in, that I am sure you watch more movies than what you talk about here, but I have a list, and so like it's all organized.
I
and books and TV shows.
Books. I mean, I mean for sure. I mean, I've finished several. I mean, I've finished a number of books the last couple of years. So yeah, I mean for sure.
I think you've talked about one of them.
Yeah, and it's funny that I keep, I read books and I realize I'm like, maybe I haven't read books. Then I'll go through. Oh shit, I did read a whole. Oh well, never mind. Okay, yes, I did read a few books. So even when I get slow, I'm still reading a number of books. I will say that there is a movie that this list was done what year?
The original list was 1998. The revised list was 2007.
Look, with all this financial stuff going on, I went and I rewatched recently this movie called Margin Call.
Okay.
That was done in the last 15 years. I will say that is one of the best movies in terms of financial drama that showed probably more of how things in corporate environments work and how certain decisions get made and how shit happens.
Mm-hmm.
It was a really well put together drama. And the cast was excellent. And man, that's gotta be, people that have watched it go back, and some people have just noticed that it's an amazing movie. So it's a very powerful movie as well. So if you don't have it on that list, You need to add it.
I just added it again, and I think I might have had it already because you might have mentioned it before, but it's been added again.
Now, so that was one that I watched in part because of some of the. There is a line in that movie. I bring it up from the terms of movies. Later on we'll talk about all the stuff that's going on, and I mean, it's a big truism. People think that a lot of these executives, that they know everything that's going on, that they're geniuses in some way of some sort. I would say that most good executives aren't. They're probably know more. It's wide rather than deep. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're really good, then you know that you don't know. You need experts to tell you about certain things because you don't know the details. You can't know the details about every single area. So that's why you hire really good people who are experts that can give you the recommendations. So then you can make the decision, that you need to make based on that. And the line that is very relevant to a lot of the stuff that's going on, like right now, was that the chief executive, the chairman of this investment bank, said, "You know why?" He asked everybody at the table, "Do you know why I get paid all this money?" And people were like, "Because I get paid to listen to the music and to figure out when the music stops so we can get off. And let me tell you something right now. I don't hear a thing."
Mm.
And, Donald Trump is it's, let me tell you something, a scary thing. I wound up a few months ago buying gold because I'm scared of that right now.
Should we take a break and then get into the actual news now?
Yeah.
Sounds like we're transitioning.
But okay. I brought it up for the movie because it's probably that was that was a very. He was at the boardroom with everybody, and they were bringing him the analysis, and it's one of those analyses that goes back to how people figured out that we were at the financial crisis in 2008, in which
I will say this: one of the movies that I watched more recently, so it'll be months and months and months till I talk about it on the show, also took place during the 2008 financial crisis.
Which
Can you guess what it was?
It wasn't Margin Call. It was the other one with Michael Burry and the other people. It was the one that was more famous. I had the blonde, the Australian blonde woman. It had what's his name? Steve Carell in it.
No,
that's not that one either.
That's not that one. No, it was the sequel to Wall Street. Wall Street Money Never Sleeps.
Wall Street Money. Oh, Money Never Sleeps. Okay.
Yes. So, anyway, I will give my opinion of that in like 10 years whenever I get to it in order.
Okay. Well, there you go. We've got plenty of time.
Okay. Let's take the little breaky. According to my random rolls, the next one should be a Wiki of the Day one, but I didn't have time to prepare it. So we'll do a different one and we'll do the Wiki of the Day next time. So, okay. So here we go. Break number 3.
Do. This podcast is sponsored by AlexEmzilla.com. Alex Emzilla is great. It's on YouTube, and it has lots of fun videos.
Alex Emzilla is awesome and great.
I love his videos, and they are obviously better than Curmudgeon's Corner.
Well, they're funnier. They're more interesting.
And frankly, he seems at least a little smarter than either of the hosts of Curmudgeon's Corner.
Honestly, it's ridiculous how endlessly talented and phenomenal Alex Emzilla is.
That's how great his YouTube channel is.
Yes. Do.
Okay, we are back. The one you were trying to struggle to get the name of, The Big Short.
The Big Short. Yeah. There you
Yeah. So I looked it up during the break.
go. Okay, there you go.
Okay, so, and I added it to my list.
There you go.
So, okay, newsy stuff. I guess since you were starting with the economic Donald Trump stuff, why don't we? Yeah, are you confused now? What's going on?
No. It's just that okay. Earlier I had closed Slack and I can't.
You just broke everything.
There we go. Okay. There.
Okay. So
okay.
let's start with the Donald Trump economic stuff, and then in the next segment we can do, I don't know, the Donald Trump legal stuff. So you know, when I recorded the show last week, was, you know, your little 15-minute segment had included his back down on tariffs, and then by the time I recorded, he'd also back down on electronics and some other things, and for China even, leaving some other things in place. And you know, you made the point, and I talked more about everything that was wrong with that. What's happened since then? I mean, the most recent thing, he's threatening to fire the Fed chair, even though he doesn't have the legal authority to do so. You know, fun stuff like that.
Look, the thing is that still to this moment, we're having a sell-off of dollar assets.
Wait, everything hasn't like popped back up, and you know, we're not all good.
So we had this massive like bump like one day, and then
one day, yes,
that one day because of the announcement. But you know, but we are continuing to see pressure on treasury rates and interest rates in general. Trump is under the delusion that the Fed can somehow, in a very quick way, bring that down, but they can't. They can't. It's not just setting rate policy, which the rate policy drives short-term rates. And that usually translates down into the 10-year and the 20 and the 30-year rate. And they are somewhat connected, but they're not directly connected. You can control the short term.
Right, but also the Fed has multiple. They
can do balance sheet stuff.
Right. No, but what I was just going to say, but their mission is multifaceted. They're supposed to take action.
Number one thing is price stability. Well, number one important thing is price stability. Okay. And that's the thing that just Donald doesn't want to accept or understand. That because everything he has done, even with the backtracking,
is still inflationary.
Massively inflationary.
Which he fundamentally doesn't believe.
He doesn't believe it.
Because, of course, the other countries pay the tariffs. That's how it works.
Right. Because he doesn't fucking understand how anything works. The Fed just can't drop rates. Because
I mean, I guess
that is also very inflationary. Because dropping the rates drives dropping the dollar.
I mean, they theoretically could do whatever, right? The question is it wise, and what are the effects of that?
Could you drop rates? Yes, but it would drive a bigger sell-off of dollars,
right?
So it would be massively. You've got two inflationary pressures at the same time. Okay. Because then you're going to goose the economy while while you've got inflationary pressure, prices only go one way to go up. So inflation is going to get way worse. And then it creates the problem also of the liquidity of treasuries.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, rates are moving where it is obvious that people are selling dollar assets. And the reality is that why are people now, unlike at other times of crises, not buying dollars? There's only one fucking reason. It's called Donald J. Trump. Because everybody in the investment world now knows that he is a lunatic. I think that many of them thought that what would happen was, like in the first term, that a lot of this stuff would be fended off by those around him.
Yeah,
but I will tell you,
he's just a bunch of talk. He's using it as a positioning statement for negotiations, whatever. None of this will really happen. Or if a little bit does, it won't be that much. Because like he did put on some tariffs in the first term that did cause some damage.
Right.
You know.
But they weren't anywhere nearly as expansive as this. And so that's the situation. You've got this where not some tariffs got dialed back, but most of them have, but a lot of them have not. Okay.
A lot of them have not. And even the ones that did dial back, a few days later, him and his team are talking about, oh, well, they'll be back though.
And they keep talking about going and like imposing even more tariffs on other places. I mean, they keep talking like, oh, we're not done with imposing tariffs.
Well, right. I like when he said the specific thing when they backed off and said, okay, well, no tariffs on the electronics coming out of China, which gave like Apple and other companies a big sigh of relief. A couple days later, they come on and say, oh no, but we are going to be tariffing the semiconductors.
The
we just haven't figured that out yet. We'll do that next month.
So it really, I mean, this is why the markets keep have started sell back off again. You have, and trust is difficult to build. It's easy to break.
Yep.
And the one thing that the U.S. has had is, we have been screwed over by everybody, doesn't understand that the one advantage that the U.S. has had for a long time is that the U.S. dollar has been the reserve currency of the world. Everybody, when they wanted to put their money in safety, buys dollars. That's why we have so much cheap capital. And that is the one thing that really boosts the economy more than it is one of the biggest drivers of the economy. It's also why, companies come and list their shares in the U.S. They sell bonds in the U.S. Even some foreign governments wind up selling bonds in the U.S. Like Argentina that this repeatedly, because nobody would buy a bond issued under the laws of Argentina because they didn't trust those laws. But they would come to the U.S. and they would feel that in the U.S. they would get a fair shake. If there's a legal dispute, to get paid. Okay. But when you are basically just saying that you're going to flout all the laws, that you're going to impose, basically just try to bully everybody into shit and, just fuck with the economy like it's just a toy. People are leaving. I mean, he has been threatening to delist shares of Chinese companies, for example. So what is? I mean, when you start doing those kinds of threats, then what that means is that you're going to be. Well, wait, I can't. I don't want to list my shares in the U.S. Then it's just everything that he is doing is horrifically damaging to the American economy at this moment. And look, we haven't seen the effects of the pricing, but they're coming. You know, a lot of importers have already talked about this. You know, them trying to clear shipments. They also were trying to now impose some additional fees on Chinese ships arriving in the U.S. as well, which I saw. I actually had seen this while I was in Puerto Rico because a couple of people that I know down there are in the shipping industry because everything to Puerto Rico comes by ship. So I was talking to some people that were in the shipping industry, and that they had proposed these rules that basically about Chinese ships and how they would be taxed, and how if you use Chinese ships, you would be extra taxed and levied and blah, blah, blah. And I saw the document. It was just total insanity as well. It would increase the cost of shipping anywhere, anything that happened to move like between points in the US by ship in an astronomical fashion. Okay. It's just the kind of idiotic bullshit that this administration keeps doing that has no rhyme or reason with any of the data or economic fact. And it's everything that this administration does. It doesn't matter if it's the economy is like one part that he's fucking with, like heavily. Healthcare, whether it's immigration, healthcare, whatever the fuck, the weather. I mean, you know, there is nothing, everything here. It's just, you know, my gut feeling is that we're getting screwed, and so we're going to do this. Then today, what the hell was it that he said? He said this thing that was hilarious. He said, where the heck did he say? He said over here, Trump says he's reluctant to keep raising tariffs on China. President Trump has said he's reluctant to continue ratcheting up tariffs on China because it could stall trade between the two countries. No shit, Sherlock! Really? Now you figured this out?
So I
well,
mean,
China was like going to restrict deliveries of Boeing aircraft, which is our number one export. Okay. Our number one export, period. Okay. In dollar value item that we sell is fucking aircraft. Okay. So China was saying, hey, you can't buy any more Boeing aircraft. We're going to block deliveries of the fucking Boeing aircraft. Okay. All right. It's catastrophic. Okay. All right. To do that as well. I mean, this is all so fucked up. And by the way, they talked about, Bissett was, we're going to do these bespoke negotiations with everybody over the next 90 days. Sam, 70 negotiations with 70 countries at the same time, and you do them in 90 days? In some kind of like detailed trade agreement?
I don't know. Wait. I don't know if you heard this part.
Yeah.
But you know those law firms that Donald Trump like strong-armed into saying they would do pro bono work for causes that he appreciated?
Yeah.
So apparently he has been saying over the last week that part of what he intends them to do is all these trade negotiations for him.
What the fuck does that mean? I mean, it's still, regardless.
Which by the way,
that is insane.
Well, it also isn't legal apparently because
they
can do pro bono work, but they can't do pro bono work for the government.
Right? It's nuts. Well, of course, now all these fucking legal firms are realizing what they should have known in the first place, which is that you can't say yes to a fucking bully, which is what I've been saying since the beginning. These guys are going, I'm like, oh yeah, we'll just make a deal and it'll go away. No, when you fucking say yes to one of these assholes, that it's like saying yes to the mob. Okay? It is totally like saying yes to the mob.
It is saying yes to the mob.
It is saying yes to the mob. Okay?
But look, going back to what you said a little bit ago about just sort of Donald Trump not understanding, I've heard a number of, if you try to piece together some of the statements that he and the pro-tariff people around him have been saying, they say repeatedly things like the income from the tariffs will make up money that it will make up for income tax, so we can drop taxes, etc., blah, blah, blah. It almost is reliant on the assumption, first of all, the other countries are paying the tariffs, but also that the amount of product sold and traded
Is it going to drop?
Isn't going to drop. It's just going to be exactly the same, but we'll make more money.
This is the moronics. This is the part where apparently, failing economics 101. Hey, Sam, as the curve of prices went up in Econ 101, what happened to the curve of demand?
Well, here's the thing. He doesn't think the price will change because China will just pay the tariff.
This is right.
Yvonne is dumbfounded.
I'm just, it's just, he doesn't understand, where the fuck how the tariffs get paid. It's just, people are just going to write a check, for more. It is so dumb. The whole thing is so fucking dumb. It is beyond dumb. There is no, there's just no logic to any of this. None. We're dealing with a psychopath.
Well, he said repeatedly, look, in the golden years of the 1880s and 1890s, there was no income tax, and we just made all the federal government's money off tariffs. And that's what he wants to go back to.
Yeah. We had no roads. We had no airports. We had no, what the fuck didn't we have, Sam? We didn't send rockets to the moon. We didn't pay Social Security. We had no Medicare. We had no Medicaid. Okay. We didn't.
Well, they don't want any of those things either.
Well, they don't want any of those things either. What the fuck didn't we have? We didn't have shit. I mean, this is just, this mess is not over. Okay. Look, gold is up 20%. People just keep fucking buying gold. I bought gold. I said this months ago. Look, one of the fucking smartest things I've done. Let me tell you. I did say it on the show, so if you didn't do it, it's your fucking problem. Okay. But it's just, there is no positive end game in the way that they are doing this, like right now. There just isn't. I mean, every leading indicator for the economy isn't shit. I've got card, for example, I've got the car dealer that I bought a car from desperately calling me to renew a lease. And the reason why I know they're desperate to do it is because they're worried about tariffs.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Because those tariffs haven't been lifted. The tariffs on the cars, they're still in place, 25%.
Right.
That didn't go away. So we got a tariff of 25% on fucking cars coming in right now. 10% on everything else. Then we got 100+% tariffs on China.
Except those electronics.
So, it's just so stupid. The whole fucking thing is so stupid. It's just so stupid, Sam. In my lifetime, I've never seen just such level of just grotesque stupidity. in doing policy, and this is
Well,
what we're up against right now.
Well, and this comes back to the conversation you and I have had a number of times, but it's worth bringing up over and over again because it's like, okay, is it really stupidity or is this what he wanted?
No, he has no clue, Sam. He really is this clueless. He is this dumb. There is nothing from what he says that betrays that there is any intelligence or master plan behind it.
5-dimensional chess, Yvonne.
Yeah, the 5-dimensional
He's a
chess.
genius. Just trust in Trump.
You know,
It'll all be better in the end.
one reason why he backed off massively last week was because Scott Bessent showed him the fucking chart on what the hell was happening with the treasury market. And he told him that, look, this thing goes, we're in a fucking heap of trouble. Then we have to go back to we're back to 2008 measures. I mean I mean literally this is the kind of financial crisis shit we're talking about. We're talking about going back to 2008 measures.
Mm-hmm.
Where the treasury is going to have to go into the bond market and just start doing quantitative easing again. They're going to have to just go in and just start buying, just printing dollars. By the way, that's also fucking, going to devalue the dollar, which also raises rates.
And prices.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's just, it's a fucking shit show in every direction. I don't know what the hell. The only, I don't see a good end game here. Okay, the only end game that happens that I think is the tariffs start hitting everybody's pockets in the coming weeks and months.
Mm-hmm.
People start getting really angry. The constituents start getting really angry. Already, a lot of the smaller businesses that are involved in importing shit are getting the sticker shock already right now. Okay? They're starting to get the bills. But that hasn't translated yet directly into the inventory of people. Now, Temu, Shine, and all of these are already getting fucked. So all these people that like that shit, they're already hit with tariffs. Okay? There's no exemptions. Okay? So I guess if you're buying something right now, I haven't looked, but I've never bought from this, but I'm guessing that, if you were used to seeing some prices, those are going to go up. I've never bought anything from Temu. Have you?
No.
Okay.
I haven't even been to the website.
Okay, I just went to the website for the first time. But it's so popular though.
Oh yeah.
And so the only way that this gets to stop is by massive discontent. That's the thing. There is no other way to make it stop. The people have to get angry. One thing that he is, let's say, calculating. He's not calculating. That he isn't seeing is that he idolizes Putin. But one thing that Putin has been adept at is managing the economy. He has done his crazy shit, but he also has a number of people around him that are smart economists that have figured out ways to reduce the impact of the things that he's done. Okay? They have looked for ways for people to be able to get food, to get stuff, to get whatever. How to? Okay, great. I'm going to go launch a war. I'm going to get sanctions.
Years of international sanctions and everything else.
The economy hasn't collapsed.
Right.
But he's got smart people that he's listening to say, okay, great. I wanted to invade Ukraine. I got these sanctions. What do I do to get around them? Okay. That's not how Trump is operating. Trump is operating that he's going to do this shit and he doesn't need to do anything to mitigate the impact of any of this. So, because if you want, okay, I want to bring back manufacturing to the U.S. Well, what Biden was doing that, okay? Because the problem is that after 30 or 40 years of so much manufacturing moving offshore, you couldn't bring it back overnight, number one. But the second problem is that there's a lot of manufacturing and the jobs, the number of jobs and the things. You don't need as many people as you used to make a lot of shit that we used to make. The second problem is that back in this golden age, like in the 50s and 60s, where we had, as a percentage of the world, so many of the manufacturing jobs other countries didn't. Well, the U.S. was 60% of the GDP of the world. Okay,
right.
It's not the economy.
Just as a reminder to people, in part because most of the rest of the world was devastated by World War II.
Correct. Okay, exactly right. And that was the 50s and 60s. Okay, now the U.S. is around 30-40%. It's still a large percentage, but the world economy grew a lot. It's so much bigger. Okay, so if you're Apple, you don't want all of your revenue and you don't want all your costs in only one country when 60% of your sales come from outside the United States. You need to spread that out throughout the world because that is one way that you so-called natural hedging against currency effects. Okay, so this hit a lot of companies back in the 80s, okay, when we were still coming off of how the post-World War II world was in terms of manufacturing. There was a massive devaluation of the dollar, okay? And when that devaluation happened, okay, Germans specifically, actually Germans and the British, okay, they both of them, they sold a lot of cars in the U.S. Well, there was a 50% devaluation in the dollar. That meant that the price of their cars doubled overnight. Their sales plummeted. Okay. Porsche almost went bankrupt, okay, over this. And beginning at that time, and it came to fruition into the 90s, well, the Germans decided, look, we can't just manufacture cars in Germany and sell cars in Germany. We need to diversify. And they have manufacturing plants in the U.S. Or they buy parts and other things from the U.S., okay? Or from the different markets where they sell. So there are BMW cars that are assembled in China, in the U.S., in Germany, not just in Germany, because in order to protect yourself against that. So he's trying to say to Apple, hey, bring all that manufacturing back to the U.S. Well, shit. I mean, if I sell 60% of my total phones outside the U.S., even if I wanted to, I can't bring all that manufacturing to the U.S., number one, because that exposes you to way too much risk. And then the second thing is that nobody wants those fucking jobs. Nobody wants those fucking jobs, okay, here in the U.S., because people moved on from that, okay? There are people, it's just, there was a survey recently that showed how Americans said, hey, do you think it's great for America to have, bring back all the manufacturing? 80% of them said, yes, let's build. Okay, great. How many of you really want to have manufacturing jobs? Only 20% of them said they wanted manufacturing jobs. They don't want the fucking jobs. They don't want to be in a fucking factory, okay? That's not what the U.S. economy has developed over the last 20, 30, 40 years. It's turned into a service economy. They're still manufacturing, by the way. The one thing is that if you look at the manufacturing output, it's not like it's decreased, but the manufacturing employment sure as hell has. But
because of automation.
Automation, yes, technology, efficiency. So we still build a lot of shit here. But damn it, people don't want to fucking go back to, they're not going to be sewing sneakers and, putting little screws in iPhones. And even if you wanted it to happen, like I've seen industries be protected by tariffs in certain places. Hey, do competitor, whatever, you see a tariff, okay? Well, you do a tariff when you're protecting an industry that's there, okay? You're trying to give them time to see if they could, invest, do some incentives or whatever. But by putting the tariffs right now when there's no capacity here, the only thing that's going to happen is if you need the item, you're going to have to pay more for it. That's it. There's nothing else they can do because we're not going to get a fucking iPhone from anywhere else.
And there's an interview with Tim Cook that's been floating around where he talks about people who are like, look, there's this myth that China's about low labor costs. It's not about low labor costs. Labor costs have pretty much caught up. Maybe it's a little bit cheaper, but not much. It's about the skill set and the tooling and everything else that's there.
The entire ecosystem.
He brought a particular example of like, if you wanted to get experts in a certain type of tooling and manufacturing into a room, like there's probably like 30 people in the entire United States with that skill set. You go over to China, they're tens of thousands.
Listen, I was looking into manufacturing an electronic product sometimes like about 10, 15 years ago. Okay. And, I talked to a couple of different manufacturers, a few little factories in Shenzhen. And it was just amazing the capacity they had. Oh, this is what you want to build. Oh, we need this component. We need this. We need that. Listen, you couldn't do any of that here. There's nobody to talk to do that. They have such an entire ecosystem to do that so easily over there. And when he's talking about the labor rates, he may be exaggerating it a little bit. They are a lot higher than they used to be. Okay. They're not totally the same, but
right. They're still cheaper, but it's not.
But it's not what it used to be. It's not the biggest driver. Because look, I had an operations center in Shanghai specifically, okay? And the average person at the Shanghai operations center was making $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 a year. It's not like they were making $5,000 a year. So, and that's similar to some of the labor rates here. So really in Shanghai, for example, the reality is he's right. Wasn't paying any fucking, it was not cheaper. It was maybe somewhat cheaper, but not that, not like 2% versus, not 80% less. No. So yeah, I mean, he's right about that. It is the entire manufacturing, the supply chain, the ecosystem, everything that's over there, how, they've got that all put together in order to be able to make the products, ship them and distribute them very easily. But I'm talking about these details when we just got a psychopath at the wheel. I mean, that's our problem. And the reality is that I was talking about the end game earlier. When people get upset, the only thing is that Congress needs to act. And Congress can get...
Good luck with that.
Well... we talked. Well, they were talking about Lisa Murkowski was talking yesterday how she admitted that they are scared. They're scared. But at some point, what I'm saying about the constituents getting angry.
Look, at some point, they get more afraid of their voters than of Donald Trump.
And that's exactly what needs to happen at some point, because the way that happens is. People showing up at their fucking car dealer trying to buy a car and realize that they can't afford a fucking car anymore because it's 25% more expensive.
Well, but the thing we talked about a couple weeks ago when we talked about what would it take for enough Republicans to bail on Trump in order to do these kinds of reversals from the Congress, the conclusion we came to at the end of that discussion was it's far more likely that before it gets to that point, Donald Trump does one of his traditional flips and goes backwards just in time to avoid
and claims victory somehow.
Exactly.
But here's the thing: at this point, he still hasn't budged. He is still under the delusion. You know what? He caved on some of the things because of the things that he understands, and he didn't on a whole bunch of others. And I don't think he still realizes that the shit that he still enforce has a lot of really negative impacts still. I think that's the problem. I mean, the guy's never been shopping to a store in his life, right? I mean, he's never been to a grocery store, right? He's never been to Walmart.
It's an old-fashioned word that people are talking about a lot recently. Groceries.
Right. But this motherfucker's never been to Walmart. What the fuck would he know about prices at Walmart? Okay? He doesn't know anything. He doesn't understand that all those fucking products that are lined up over there that people go buy, they come from fucking China.
Right.
And so, at some point, people are going to be showing up at the fucking store. They're going to see the widget that they bought last year to go to the barbecue at the beach was, $100, and now it's $250 because of the tariff. They're going to be like, what the fuck happened?
It was Joe Biden's fault.
That was Joe Biden's fault.
Yes, clearly.
It's all Joe Biden's fault. Well, I mean, that's what strategy say it's Joe Biden's fault. Everything's Joe Biden's fault.
I mean, look, yes, there's the delay too, right? Like you said, prices
and the recession and the unemployment. But believe me, because we're getting all of these things. We're getting a fucking recession. We're getting a recession. We're getting more unemployment. Businesses are not. They're not investing, Sam. They don't want to hire. They're scared of hiring, and they're not investing, man. They're looking at it, and they're like, shit, we don't know what we're going to do. We have to wait to see what the fuck happens.
Right. Well, and I talked a little bit about this last week, and we've talked about it before too, because on top of everything else is the one thing is the policies are bad for all of these objective reasons. But the other thing is the freaking uncertainty because he changes his mind every 5 minutes.
Yes.
So how the hell can you plan for it?
You can't. And that's the problem. And they a whole bunch of executives met with him. Okay. Business roundtable went to him and said this, hey, we need some certainty to understand so we can plan. And he brushed it off and said, these fucking guys, they want certainty, whatever. Who gives a shit?
Yeah.
And that's what he said. So they're all like, what the fuck? But, the other day, the one thing that's very crystal clear, what this whole battle is, look, these guys, honestly, their ideal world.
Which guys?
These guys like Trump and his billionaire friends or whatever. The guys that want to go and set up their fucking like free, this libertarian like freedom state in Greenland or wherever the fuck or where the hell they want to do it or wherever the hell they want to do it. I think their entire vision is that we can go set this up. They're going to replace all the professional class of people
with AI.
like you and me with AI. Mm-hmm. And then we can pay a whole bunch of low-level schlubs to do the rest of the shit that we can't do with AI. I mean, that's what they want.
Mm-hmm.
This is why they are so hell-bent on, anybody who is some kind of smart, educated, professional with information. Fuck you. No, RFK Jr. is going to tell you what the results are going to be of the autism research.
You could replace RFK Jr. with an AI too.
Well, actually, we could.
Probably better results.
Listen, if we put an LLM right now versus RFK Jr., we would be getting better results. I mean, a lot better results. So this is a case where I would be in favor of AI taking over, like immediately.
As
You
long
know-
as you don't train it on RFK Jr.'s writings.
You
and
know,
speeches
I
and stuff.
years ago,
Yes, years ago.
somebody had posed this question to me about different managers and what their effects are on companies, and I had segmented people as leaders into a few different categories. Okay, so you got the guys who are the visionary, proactive guys. Okay, you come into a company, say a guy like Steve Jobs. Okay,
Yep.
this guy is visionary. He understands, and he also is a leader, and he also is able to recruit a lot of talented people. And he was able to change things, and he was able to develop things, and he was able to grow a business, and he was able to take something in that was being run before by some maybe professional management, but didn't have the right vision, into something that grows and that people want to be working at, and that is heavily improved. Okay, so you got that guy. Then you've got the guys that I say these are the lazy executives. Okay, they may not be necessarily they may be very smart, they may be dumb, whatever, but it's the lazy class. And the lazy class is, hey, if I come into a company that's, hey, everything's running fine or whatever, I'm just getting my checks, there's some good professional staff in there, I'm not going to do anything. I'm not going to fucking do anything. What the fuck am I going to do anything? Everything's working. All these people write my reports. I just show up. I'm like Queen Elizabeth going around here. Whatever. I collect for 4 or 5 years, student numbers, go to the next job, whatever. And I didn't fuck up anything and nothing happened. Everything's good. And I had some of those managers. This was great. Look, you had an executive. He was the leader. He wasn't involved in anything. Listen, no problem. Just don't say anything. Don't do anything. Don't worry about it. We got everything covered. We don't really need you. We don't need you to do anything. Don't worry about it. Okay? Just stay over there. All good. Everything will be fine. Don't worry about it. Just don't.
Yes.
We don't need your idea. We don't need any. We don't really need anything from you. Just stay over there. Go fly business class. Go spend money. You're good. No problem. So you got those guys. But then you get, unfortunately, you get the idiot proactive people. So this is the worst kind of them all. Okay. And this is really like Donald Trump. Okay. Really. Where the guy is a moron.
Okay. Yes.
Okay. But instead of doing like the lazy executive, which you could just listen, everything was running. Sam, you didn't have to do anything. All you have to do is like, look, I just name a few generic guys.
Look,
I come in. I play golf.
There's a lot to be said for if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yes. You just come in. Fuck, you go down to Mar-a-Lago, you play golf. You go and you fuck all the hookers that you want. I don't care. Give all the pardons you want. Pardon whoever the fuck you want, whatever. But you put a few competent people around and these different things. You just sit around and just say, hey, as long as I get my pardons, as long as I get my whatever, you do whatever. Don't worry about it, whatever. But no, that's not what we got. What we got is proactive and dumb. Where basically he thinks he needs to fix everything, but he's an idiot. So basically everything that he done is a wreck. And I've seen these guys in corporate. This is the same shit as what this guy is doing. They don't know anything. They have all the wrong ideas. They don't listen to anybody that's smart, and they keep just plowing ahead until they fucking just fuck up everything. And this is what we have. This is what we have. It's the class of executive, the worst I've always feared. These are the worst people that there is. I am all for having lazy executives, to be honest. Okay. I'm happier with a fucking lazy executive.
I mean, look, there are certain situations where if you just coast like that, eventually it causes problems. But a lot of the time, it's not that bad.
And plus, if you have if
you're in a
good enough and if you hired the right people,
yes,
then they'll call, hey boss, we got a fire. Okay, well, can you Can you extinguish a fire? Can you look? Yeah. I got. Okay, great. Do it. Okay, all right. Let me know if you need anything. Okay, bye. That's it.
Yeah.
I don't want anything else. But we're not in there, Sam. We have. In Spanish, I called him. My nickname for this guy, I just haven't found how to translate this well. It's a proactivo pendejo.
Okay.
This is the type of manager that Donald Trump is. He's proactive, and by pendejo is dumbass. He's inept, but proactive. It's the worst combination ever to have somebody that's inept and proactive. You don't want that ever. You really don't want that, but we've got that. And Sam, it's only been 2 months.
Well, 3 now. Almost
3.
February, March, April.
It's only been 3 fucking months, man. This is, and so many. He right now has the worst approval rating of anybody in this short amount of time, except himself.
Although that still, by the way, gets me. Like every time people bring up that stat, I'm like, really? He is more liked now than at the same point 8 years ago.
I'm gonna tell you why. I'm gonna tell you why. Because a big part in the first time that he lost some of the MAGA people because he wasn't doing what he's doing now. Because they expect to be more aggressive instead of naming the Rex Tillersons of the world and that kind of stuff. So now those guys are a little bit more solid because he's doing that part. That I think is the difference.
Yeah, I don't know. Like to me, it's just objectively like he's like he was bad last time, but he's worse this time.
He is actively way worse. Yes,
but you're just saying some people actually like the worse, and so that's why.
Correct. Whereas before he was pissing off those guys because he wasn't doing enough. And pissing us off because he was still being an incompetent idiot.
Okay. Well.
A mean, incompetent idiot, because that was the whole immigration thing. That now we're even, in a worse thing.
Okay, let's. I think we should take our break now, because we're running low on time, and I do want to make sure we do cover the legal stuff because there's the whole. Is he finally just actively defying SCOTUS at this point? And that whole
before we go to legal stuff, before we go to that, do one quick thing. Just one quick subject before we get into the legal.
Okay.
To insert this because there was a whole bunch of women went into space and they got a lot of hate.
Okay. We'll just throw this in the middle.
Yeah. It's just in the middle. Fine. It's just the intermission between the continue to talk about
intermission. Yes.
Yeah. So are they just getting hate because people are just pissed off at the billionaires like right now? I guess it's a good reason.
Well,
but
that's part of it. No, I think there's a little bit more to that. I mean, yes, people are pissed off at the billionaires. Yes, people are pissed off that it was just a bunch of famous people. But I think part of it was also the disconnect between like the marketing of it was like, oh, look, so inspiring, an all-woman crew, blah, blah, blah. Whereas the reality was it's a bunch of rich tourists on an 11-minute ride. Meanwhile, you've had really prominent, serious women astronauts for a long time now.
But the thing is,
they sort of acted kind of silly too. So they weren't like, they weren't like, ooh, serious, blah blah blah. They acted silly and goofy on their thing, and it was just sort of it was almost tried to shove down people's throats look, this is an amazing milestone of the all-female crew and blah, blah, blah. Whereas the way this particular space capsule works, they're all just passengers. It's all remotely operated. They're not doing anything.
Yeah, they're not doing anything.
It just goes up and down. I saw a lot of people as well saying things like, wait, I thought Katy Perry was going to be in space for like a month or something. It was 11 minutes. What the hell are you talking about? She's back already.
I do,
You know?
but I do think that, and I listen. I think this translates from everything that's going on in terms of this backlash is because of what is this assault on? It's this assault from the billionaire class on what is I call now, it's like the medium upper class of America. That is, because that is what it is, and I think that's the whole thing. Where, they go around riding in rockets, where you've got Musk saying that oh, you're a scientist in the NIH, fuck you, you're worthless.
Well,
and I think that's
a number of people have pointed out the disconnect of like celebrating like this all-woman crew, etc. While meanwhile, they're laying off hundreds and hundreds of women scientists at NASA.
Exactly. Right.
And CDC. And
that's in the middle of all of this. It's kind of like just, fuck off. Really, whatever. I get it. Yeah. So, okay.
Okay. All right, we can take that break now?
Yeah.
Okay. Here we go.
You're listening to this podcast. Do you like it?
No!
Do you want to support the show?
No!
Well, after you have subscribed to the show, followed us on Facebook, and told all your friends they should be listening to, what else can you do?
I won't subscribe!
You can help fund our Patreon at patreon.com/Curmudgeon's Corner. Patreon is a way you can throw us a few bucks a month to help out with the expenses of the show. Web hosting, equipment, a little bit of advertising to promote the show, and maybe every once in a while some much needed sedatives for Yvonne. At different contribution levels, you can get a mention on the show, our Curmudgeon's Corner postcard, or even a Curmudgeon's Corner mug. Fun stuff.
Not fun.
In any case, the contributions help tell us that you enjoy and appreciate the show.
I really hate Curmudgeon's Corner.
Are we worth $1 a month?
No!
$5 a month?
No!
Or if you are nuts about us, maybe even more.
100 billion dollars, even though you don't have anywhere near $1 billion.
If we're worth anything to you at all, send it our way at patreon.com/Curmudgeon's Corner.
Alex hates, really hates Curmudgeon's Corner! That's really mean, isn't it? But I hate Curmudgeon's Corner, but I really do!
As usual, I should point out that if that break is actually wrong and you do have $1 billion you can send our way, please feel free.
Yeah. I mean, we'll
make good use of it.
Yeah, we'll definitely make. And look, instead of send me whiskey, send me scotch. Just
we'll go on Jeff Bezos' spaceship.
Let's. I don't want to go on a fucking spaceship.
I'll wait for one that can go to orbit.
I wanted to go in 2000.
Those might be more dangerous than helicopters.
Listen, I wanted it to be like it was in the movie 2001.
Yes.
You say, we get on this plane and we get to the space station. That's a hotel. If it was like that, then yes, I'm it feels like going on an airplane trip, kind of like that. Then yes, that's what I want.
You don't want to pay $1 million plus for an 11-minute ride up and down again?
Not exactly. No,
not
at all.
I don't see why not, Yvonne.
It's a little bit pricey.
A little pricey?
Yeah.
I'm sure the price will come down.
At some point. Hope. $50. Be like a helicopter ride. But of course, those aren't very safe. as I've mentioned.
I'm sure, like, yeah. Eventually, SpaceX and Blue Origin have done well so far. They haven't killed anybody yet. But look, let's be honest. It's only a matter of time, right?
Listen, I want, yes. And if it's going to be that they're going to kill somebody, may it please be Elon Musk on his maiden voyage.
As I've pointed out before, he's the only one of these billionaires who hasn't ridden on their own spaceship.
Well, you know what? Maybe he's not as dumb as I thought he is.
Okay, so let's start. The main legal thing. There have been a number of cases bopping up and down the court system, but the one that has gotten the most attention over the last week, although I shouldn't say there's just competition for this.
I mean, attention. It's like, I mean, every day is a fucking like shit show of new shit that we're arguing about.
Well, the one I was going to start with is the case about what's his name? I always, I suck at names.
Which one are you?
The guy mistakenly sent to El Salvador.
Kilmar Armando Abrego Garcia.
There you go.
But I'm going to pronounce it Kilmar Armando Abrego Garcia.
I'm not even going to attempt that. Anyway, that made it all the way up to SCOTUS, and SCOTUS basically said, yes, the lower court is right. Facilitate getting this guy back. They did say something about, like, let's clarify what they meant by effectuate, but we're going to say facilitate. And so it went back down to the lower court, and the lower
effectuate
court
needs to make it happen.
Well, yes, but they wanted to specifically say, like, what was within scope and what was not. Like, for instance, you could argue that effectuate means do it at all costs. If you have to send the army to invade and physically take over the country in order to get him back, the court is ordering that, and the Supreme Court might not go along with going that far. But that's you clearly wouldn't need to go that far, right? Like, no. Donald Trump could say, we changed our mind, bring him back, and he'd be back.
Given that the Senator Chris Van Hollen very doggedly and persistently finally got to meet him. Right.
But anyway, the point was SCOTUS said facilitate it. It went back to the lower courts. The lower court was like, I want you to tell me right away, what's this guy's current status? What are you doing to get him back? And the Trump administration has been basically bullshitting him over and over and over. He asked for daily updates. They've given him bullshit daily updates and basically have said they're not doing anything and there's nothing they can do. They at one point said, like, we believe our obligation to facilitate is done if he shows up at the border, we acknowledge that he showed up and we arrest him. But we can't make El Salvador do anything. And meanwhile, the president of El Salvador is like, what are we going to do? Smuggle him back to the U.S.? In the Oval Office, by the way, this conversation happening. But basically,
well, I'm hoping that the senator goes and gets a private jet, and just loads them up and just brings them over. So far the president and vice president of El Salvador have both posted after that meeting, basically making fun of the whole thing and saying, like, look, he got out of the death camp and was sitting there having margaritas with the senator, and now those two guys are clowns. Yeah, okay.
And now the reward, he can go back into the custody of El Salvador. They're not giving him up right now to the senater. At least not.
Let's be clear. For days they were refusing to even let him meet him. They finally wound up let him meet. And apparently the senator's been very fucking persistent. Okay, so I'm going to give him.
I keep wanting to turn back to the main point here is not actually what's going on with this guy.
Although it's illegal. Yeah.
It's the fact that the Trump administration has been blatantly not
Ignoring
cooperating
the-
with what the Supreme Court said to say.
I mean, they have
And
been
what the lower
what
court
they have
does.
been, what they have been hiding behind, and they you know they've done this
They
on purpose.
they have been
obviously.
trying to say,
Hey,
according
he's
to
not.
our
He's a citizen from El Salvador, and we sent him to El Salvador. What can we do?
well, right, they've been doing that. They've been quibbling about the wording. They've been saying the courts can't tell the executive branch how to do foreign policy.
You're right.
But they've also at various points been refusing to actually give meaningful updates on the status.
Right.
They've been refusing to say what they have done. They've you know, basically, like, they have been trying to make arguments about why what they're doing is actually in compliance. And in fact, like, Stephen Miller and Donald Trump have even been saying that the Supreme Court ruling was 9-0 in their favor as opposed to 9-0 against them. They're trying to, like, distort reality.
Wow.
And
They're trying to. I mean,
yes, but the
their MO. I mean,
the judge in this particular case has ordered a week and a half of discovery of, like, you know, you're going to bring in people to testify to tell me exactly when, where, and how, you know, things have been going on. The other court dealing with the more general transportation of people to that prison has already said that they're, I forget the exact terminology. It's one step short of them actually a probable cause that they are in contempt of court or something like that, and has issued more conversations. I always get these two cases confused, so I apologize because they're going on parallel tracks. But both of them are essentially at the point of declaring the administration in contempt.
And contempt. Yeah.
And some of the questions are, who exactly would be in contempt? Is it the lawyer who's saying something? Is it some administration official?
I would start with a fucking lawyer and say I would start throwing people,
and then work your way up, right?
Yeah, basically, yeah.
Well, and you know,
and this is criminal contempt, so
potentially, but there's a problem there too, because normally, how would criminal contempt work? It would be a referral to the DOJ in order to go after them.
But no.
The judge had wait. The judge can do no. The judge can declare
that they are okay. This is no. You're talking about. You're confusing it in errant contempt. No. You're talking no. A judge can listen. The judge can declare you in contempt of jail and order you to jail.
Yes, they can. But what a couple of different things. The particular modes of contempt that are being talked about here. There are a couple options that have been talked about. One is the referral to DOJ, which would obviously go nowhere. Right. One of the judges had specifically said they would assign a different lawyer to do the prosecution.
Okay.
And then, as you said, under certain circumstances, the judge can just say, "You're going to jail until you cooperate."
Yeah.
You know, and that's yet a different type. So all of these are potentially in play, but the question is who, what, where, how. The administration has already appealed one of the notices of potential contempt, and so and that these things are bouncing up and down the courts. It is inevitable that this will go back to SCOTUS again, but probably both of these cases will end up at SCOTUS again, and then we see, does SCOTUS get even more strenuous in what they say, or do they try to back down a little bit? I mentioned last week that even within SCOTUS's orders here, they left wiggle room for the administration to play the kind of games they're playing. Do they issue another ruling with less wiggle room or not? Because they don't really want the straight up with Donald Trump. They want to avoid that. They're hoping at some point, like you said, like maybe this gets resolved because, you know, they end up, the guy gets to go home. Right. Now, Stephen Miller and others have said, like, explicitly, okay, when we messed up here, it's because there was a judge's order on the book saying we couldn't send him back to El Salvador. It doesn't say anything about anywhere else in the world. if he steps foot back in the U.S., we're immediately going to expel him again, but send him to Yemen or somewhere.
I mean, for what reason? They had no reason to expel him anyway, either.
Well, they claim there are many reasons. Of course, that's all in dispute, and they haven't provided the evidence needed.
Right.
Which is why, yes. Yes. And so the thing is with all of this is, people have been trying to parse words of like, when do we hit the constitutional crisis? Like, on one extreme, like you could say the very first time that Donald Trump didn't do exactly what the lower court judge said, you were already there. Now there's an argument that says, well, now he's directly violating what SCOTUS said. So now we're there for sure, right? And then you could argue, well, yeah, but SCOTUS left some wiggle room. We're back to SCOTUS again, and then maybe we're there. But the bottom line, I think, is that absolutely everything Donald Trump has been doing his second term is a constitutional crisis from beginning to end. Because one fundamental characteristic of Donald Trump's presidency the second time around is to not worry about what law is, just do whatever the fuck you want and wait for them to stop you. And fundamentally, as far as I'm concerned, you're already at a crisis at that point because you've lost the respect for the
but I'll tell you what the main reason why of a crisis right now is because you simply have one branch. You have the executive branch who is basically daring, saying, I'll do whatever the fuck I want. Okay? The judicial branch has been making orders against them. They have been ignoring them. But the reality is that your third check and balance here is supposed to be
Congress.
Our Congress. And the Congress has basically, abdicated their responsibility to do anything about this guy. I mean, look at all the ways, like with expenditures, with the tariffs,
no, I know, but
this,
look, here's the thing though, and I know we talked about Murkowski talking about how people are scared, and we've talked about that before. But yes, there are some people who are scared, but the current Congress is much more MAGA than it was 2 years ago, or 8 years ago. There is a significant portion of the Congress who is absolutely fine with this. It's not that they're like, oh, we want to restrain him, but we're afraid. I mean, there certainly are some people in that category, but for the most part,
listen,
like they're like,
I'm not going to say for the most part, because we know, okay, they are complicit, but you've got the different groups here. Okay.
You do.
And there is, and a lot of the Republicans, a significant number. Okay. All right. More than enough to be able to impeach Donald Trump. Okay. Despise them, think that what he's doing is illegal, but their constituents would hang him in effigy.
Or hang them directly.
Which that's been their fear. So, and that's the reality. You've got a number of people there, more than enough to take action, that aren't doing it simply because they are scared. And that's why Lisa Murkowski was saying it, because she knows that that's the case.
I think realistically, whatever their motivations or not, we are so far away from a scenario where this Congress would actually do jack.
Well, that's the reason why I to a certain extent, unfortunately, and I not that I relish having a economic, recession or worse at this moment, but it's about the only thing that's going to shake people out of this. Is it, it's like I mentioned, there's just no other way that is going to shake Congress into action. None other. These guys are not going to do a damn thing unless their constituents all of a sudden are unemployed, can't afford shit, and they're all pissed off, yelling at them about what the fuck they're going to do about this.
The key part there is the general population in those red districts has to not only be in pain, but actually Donald Trump for it.
Yeah.
and I have no confidence that they will. I feel
I
like
think that one thing when it comes to the economy, they always blame whoever the fuck is president.
Hmm.
You know, that's just the fact. You know, look, W won re-election, you know, even with all the shit that happened and whatever. And the Republicans didn't get their asses handed to them until they fucking crashed the economy. Simple as that. You know?
Yeah. You know, as much of a shithead as Carville is these days, the economy's stupid is
He's fucking right.
right on. You know,
He's fucking right. These
it-
guys are not going to change their worldview until it fucking slams their pocketbook. Period. It's all self-interest. Everything. Every single one of these guys that you've seen that are like all of a sudden that are on
and
on
I'll add
on social media.
not only self-interest, but immediate, right now,
Yeah.
impossible to ignore self-interest.
Interest, right.
Because if you try to explain to them how something will affect them like 5 years
No.
later,
What we're talking about how all these guys on social media that right now are crying that they voted for Trump and they lost their job because he didn't think he was coming after them, or they got profiled. He didn't think he was coming after them, or blah blah blah. It's all because it hit them straight, you know, on the forehead with a 2x4. That's how they realized, oh fuck, yeah, he really fucked me.
well, even then, I heard who was it? There was somebody doing interviews with like farmers that were getting screwed by the tariffs that are already in place, right?
Oh, I'm sure the number of them still, you know, but still will fucking like smash their balls with a hammer anyway. Yeah,
well, no,
you know, that's how they are.
They specifically said, well, we got hurt tariffs last time Donald Trump was in here, but he saved us with a bailout. We expect him to do it again.
Yeah, that's true, but he's not going to bail out people who are going to go shop for cars pretty soon. He's not going to be able to.
Yvonne, I think you're missing something.
Yeah.
I think you're missing something important.
Which is?
The launch of the new Trump branded automobiles.
Oh, those are going to go up against the Teslas, huh?
Teslas already have a T. You just have to change the font.
That was just Trump. Fuck yes. Tesla. It's going to be the Trump Model Y.
In gold.
Gold edition.
Gold edition.
Yes.
Exactly.
I like this. There you go. Every car now, we're back in the 90s. We're going to have gold editions. They're going to have little gold like doorknobs, little gold striping, and little fake gold, you know, shit all over the place. Like the fucking Oval Office now, which the fucking Oval Office looks like a goddamn fucking like room at a Vegas brothel now.
Well, and the government could pay Tesla for the Trump branded cars and give them out free.
And give them out free. Yes, we will give, you know, so it's like it goes back to the Nazi plan. The car for everybody. The Volkswagen.
The Volkswagen. Yes.
Yes.
The people's car.
The people's car. There we go.
Okay. Anyway, I think the whole back and forth.
I think here's one thing. I want to make sure that if anybody didn't understand something, I want to make a point very clear right now. I'm not sure if I made this very, very clear, but I want you all to know that I absolutely despise Donald J. Trump. I just want to make sure that if that wasn't clear up until this moment, I wanted to make sure that to make it very clear.
You know you want a Trump-mobile.
If I got a free Trump-mobile, I would probably do one of the least ecological things that I would ever probably do, and just
you would burn it.
I would
it to the
burn
ground.
burn the fucking thing. Yes.
Of course you would. Okay, like I think the back and forth between the courts and Trump is going to go on for a while. I think it will be increasingly clear. This is my prediction. It will be increasingly clear that Donald Trump effectively is ignoring it and is doing whatever the fuck he wants anyway. But he will continue to put out enough fig leaves to keep it going up and down in the courts. And he won't at any point directly say, fuck you, SCOTUS. I'm ignoring you. You don't matter. He won't make it that clear. But the effective result will be the same. Because he'll figure out one way or another to do what he wants anyway. That's my take. He may occasionally throw a fig leaf in El Salvador, some compromise thing happens to him. Maybe. Probably not, though. Because Donald Trump fundamentally believes that backing down is losing.
Listen, like everything, something will happen that he can declare a victory in some way.
Yes.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, for example, because what could happen is that the president of El Salvador somehow, in order to, I'll say, face just sends him back, or some shit
Or
like that. I decided that,
if I were to design an actual way out,
yeah,
it's a neutral third party,
we'll send him to Mexico.
A neutral third country offers asylum for this guy and his whole family.
Yeah, there you go.
That's the kind of thing I could see as a way. He doesn't come back to the U.S. He doesn't stay in El Salvador.
Okay, can we get that offer?
Can we get that offer? For a neutral third party to take us in?
Yeah, like can we get asylum in like Italy?
The person in charge of Italy's like,
oh no, Maloney now.
Either.
Well, Switzerland. They get an asylum offer. They're neutral. 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 They're very neutral.
Yeah. Okay. I was thinking more Scandinavia. But
fucking cold.
Too cold for you.
I love, I love Scandinavia conceptually. Just not the weather,
but too cold.
Yeah. I mean, shit. Don't they have like some? Yeah, like the French have these overseas departments. Okay, like in the Caribbean, right? Okay.
Well, Denmark does have Greenland.
Okay, that's not helping. They have like something like, Look, I'm still open to Puerto Rico joining, being turned over to Denmark.
Don't some of those actually still have some Caribbean islands?
Yeah, the French do. Martinique, yeah. So do the British as well. There's a few British overseas territories, yes. I mean, one time that when we were doing Will, I had to get my wife a British visa to go over there. Way back when, before she decided to become a citizen. Now, of course, I'm exploring getting citizenship somewhere else.
Yes, you've mentioned it. Okay, we should wrap up. There's all kinds of other stuff that happened. Just to throw out a couple bullet points.
By the way, there is,
yes.
But one thing about it, none of it is good.
Oh, the other things that have happened.
Yeah, none of them are good. I mean, are any of them good?
Well, the list I was going to go through. Yes, you go through.
Let's see. For example, I was looking at the list that we put up on the thing, right?
The Slack,
they had
the Curmudgeon's course.
Yeah, on the Slack. Direct negotiations with Iran, which seemed like a joke. Okay, and I guess maybe is that why they had all those bombers at Diego Garcia? I guess they were thinking about. Yeah. Okay. 224 pounds.
Apparently, by the way, on that, Israel was about to attack.
Yeah, that's what Yeah.
And apparently the U.S. Donald Trump specifically said, no, we're going to negotiate with Iran. You got to hold off. So I guess I don't disagree with let's start negotiating with Iran again. Do I have trust that Donald Trump can do it in a way that makes sense? No.
Well,
but I think it's better than bombing.
You remember USMCA? Look, if he wants to do USMCA too, but like the Iran nuclear agreement too, that's basically because USMCA was almost the same shit as NAFTA, except with some minor changes.
Yeah,
so there you go. Okay, I'll go with that.
Yeah, he could do something like that. I mean, probably you'd have to give Iran some more concessions than they had last time, but
right.
But at a fundamental level, I don't disagree with negotiate rather than bomb. But yeah, okay, go ahead. Even
224 pounds.
That's how much. I was going to say how much Yvonne weighs, but no, that's Donald Trump, right?
That's how much Donald Trump weighs.
Yes.
At 6'3".
He released his medical reports this week.
It's just,
and he's of course like, a handsome, healthy man.
Anyway, we didn't mention anything about Harvard saying "go fuck yourself," and then a number of universities actually, like now, decided that it's not a good idea to negotiate with Donald Trump. And by the way, a whole bunch of law firms actually also decided, what the fuck are we doing? What are we negotiating with this asshole?
Yeah, I mean, there were a handful of law firms that had already taken him to court and won every single one, but there were tons that were capitulating.
Yeah,
and hopefully these reverse.
But they were idiots. I mean, they were idiots, and I think a number of them are realizing that they were idiots, and now they're like, oh, they want to fight us for more. We're like, fuck you now. So yeah. There was the homegrown next. What the hell was the homegrown next?
Oh no, this was Trump and what's his name from El Salvador? What's the president's name?
Oh yeah. That he's going to deport American citizens. Deport American citizens.
Yeah. Basically, he told the president of El Salvador, you need to build a bunch more prisons like this because we want to send a bunch more people to you.
Well, by the way, he doesn't have the money, but thank God El Salvador doesn't have the fucking money. But anyway,
including the homegrown ones next. Well, yeah, Donald Trump could pay for it.
Listen, that construction will go as quickly. Exactly. Number one, he doesn't like to pay for anything. Number two is, how fast did that wall go up, Sam, in Texas when he was president? Exactly. EO against Krebs and Taylor. So he targeted a couple of people that more people that said anything about him. He keeps targeting people that say anything about him.
No, but the specific thing here
was the election.
This one was but this was the most direct one yet in terms of he issued an order directly to the DOJ to investigate these two people.
Yeah, I know. The Bernie AOC tour.
The only thing I'll say about this is, whether or not it's effective in the end, I don't know, but I like it. Like these two,
I think that this needs to mushroom into like massive protests at some point. This needs to go. Well, and
there were,
but no, we need to bigger.
No, I know, and the protests are like a monthly thing. They're on a schedule, happen more, but like no. What the thing is, it's not just like that. Bernie and AOC are filling up like large venues in red states. It's if you listen to what they're actually saying.
Oh yeah, it's great. It's great.
It's great. It's passionate. Like one thing, there was one like 5-second clip of AOC who is like, people ask us why we even come to Idaho. It's because you matter.
I love it.
And it's like, she said more great, just that one thing. Like, say,
by the way,
care.
There was a poll. By the way, there was a poll. If she primaried Schumer for the Senate, where she was like beating him 65-35.
Yeah, no, I believe that for the primary. I'm waiting for the general
Yeah, that's yeah, but that was,
You know, Schumer needs to go anyway.
yeah, he needs to
but
go.
Anyway, no. I like what they're doing. I like they are active. They speak well. They are not compromising on their values
No,
to
no,
try to like attract centrists or anything like that.
no.
They're not wishy-washy. They're clear on what they believe, and if you don't like it, you don't like it. But they will listen to the people who disagree with them, but they will still like go right on. And there are a few others that have been doing this kind of thing. I've seen Buttigieg out a bunch lately. I've seen Walls out a bunch lately.
Yeah,
There's another one whose name I'm forgetting right now. I'm sorry, who's been on TV a lot and just calling out the administration left and right. We talked about the Booker thing, all the sort of a one-off, but like what is not working right now is the people who are just like, oh, we'll be quiet and we'll wait for the administration to like shoot itself in the foot and then we'll be well positioned. I mean, they may be right. I mean, if they tank the economy, but I tell you, I'm really thinking positively right now about the Democrats who are being out there and vocal and visible and combative against the current regime, as opposed to the ones who are being quiet.
yeah, no. I agree.
And part of this is I saw someone on TV or a podcast or whatever, and again, I'm not going to remember who or where it was saying they've got to stop thinking of themselves at this point for in history. You need to not think of yourself as like a traditional American party in the minority term. You need to think of yourself more like the opposition movements, like Solidarity in Poland during the last bits of the Cold War.
Hey, good news that kid, the kid that was American that the fucking police held up in northern Florida, they released him.
Yeah, we hadn't mentioned that one, but he was an American citizen.
Yeah, but
at the court hearing, they were like waving his birth certificate around and stuff like that.
He's got a nice hold. I'm like, he's you fucking American citizen, you assholes.
And the judge was like, "Oh, sorry." The judge was like, "I see your birth certificate. I can't do anything."
The problem is, he couldn't overrule the ice hold. The sheriff had to fucking go look at what the judge said and say, "Oh, okay, fine." Anyway,
yeah.
Well, he's released.
Anyway, I like the Burning AOC tour. I'm liking those two more and more as every week goes by, and there are a few other Democrats that are doing it right and a bunch that are doing it wrong. Okay, go ahead.
And the last one that we didn't talk about is RFK on autism. I think I may have mentioned a little bit, but RFK Jr. is a complete fucking moron. He knows nothing about nothing and thinks he's smarter than everybody else. He's an idiot. He has never met a person with autism. Very clearly, obviously. Never fucking met one. For some fucking reason, he advocates about, the vaccines causing autism, but this motherfucker has never, ever met somebody with autism. He is a joke. And this guy, I probably would get arrested if I fucking met.
He is not just ignorant.
He's dangerous.
He's dangerous and actively harmful in everything he is doing right now.
Yes.
And if we could have done a whole segment on him and autism, and what he's doing, but it's just one facet of all of the harmful things he's doing across all kinds of different areas, which of course what he's doing is a small facet of what the whole damn administration is doing that's harmful. And that's why each little slice of it gets a little bit of attention because there's so much. It's just this active destruction of all sorts of things that are helpful and positive, replacing them with things that are not just neutral, but actively harmful.
Yeah.
And that's where we are right now and where we probably will be for the next few years. And thank you so much for everybody who voted for him. Or
Fuck all of you.
Or you jackasses who stayed home because Harris wasn't pure enough for you. Okay.
On that happy note.
Yes, on that happy, wonderful, exciting note. Hey, everybody, you know the deal. Go to curmudgeon-corner.com. You can find all of the stuff, all the ways to contact us, all our archives, transcripts of recent shows, all of those fun things. All the ways to subscribe, follow us, blah, 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 except TikTok. I still haven't linked to TikTok. You know, I keep putting it off. I at this point, I'm not sure if TikTok is going to disappear or stay or whatever. I'm hoping for certainty, but in the Trump administration, you never get certainty about jack shit. So maybe at some point I'll add the little logo for TikTok too. But anyway, links to all of those things, and also, of course, to our Patreon, where you can give us money at various levels. We will send you a postcard. We will mention you on the show. We will send you a mug, blah, 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 blah. And yes, I still owe Pete, Greg, and Eggs. Not Egg. Eggs hit an all-time new high price-wise, didn't they, Yvonne, recently? They had been going down.
Yeah,
they're
expensive. They're staying expensive. Yeah.
You know, now I want eggs.
I found eggs at Costco. Actually, the ones at Costco, they've been able to source them at my old price.
Well, there you
That's
go.
what I saw.
There you go.
Yeah.
Anyway, yes, Pete, Greg, and Egg. I said Egg.
Greg
again.
and Egg.
Pete, Greg, and Ed. I will eventually get you the things I owe you. Yeah, at $2 a month or more on the Patreon, or if you just ask us, we will invite you to the Curmudgeon's Corner Slack, where as we, over the course of this show, we've mentioned like at least half a dozen different things that we'd shared on the Slack or talked about on the Slack. It's a lot of fun. Yvonne and I are there. A bunch of listeners are there. We share links. We chat about the news. We chat about other things. It's great fun. You should join us. So be in contact. Let us know and start participating in the Slack. And those of you who are members of the Slack, but aren't in very often, visit more often. Come play with us. It's a lot of fun. Okay, Yvonne. What's something from the Slack that's worth mentioning before we say goodbye?
What's something from the Slack? Okay. I'm so alone. Crosswalk speakers across Silicon Valley hacked to play AI audio of Musk begging for friends.
Aw.
Isn't that
so
sweet?
Sad.
It's so sad.
Yes,
I
sweet.
feel so bad for
not
him.
sad.
So sad. Yeah, poor little Elon.
Well, he's also apparently on the outs now from the administration, so he's working his way back to his companies slowly. He's been much less visible the last 2 weeks. I don't know.
Well, I mean, neither has Peter Navarro been.
Yeah, Navarro has
Navarro.
Ever since the initial rollout of the tariffs didn't go quite as smoothly as they hoped. For some reason,
Liberation Day, Sam.
Liberation Day. Should I go import some things from China?
I did go and buy those tires that I wanted to get to beat the tariffs.
I said last week they've delayed the tariffs on the electronic items except for the 10%. So I'm back to my plan of waiting till the next new iPhones come out before upgrading my iPhone.
Yeah, I think that's sensible.
I'm
now,
waiting for the 17s, not the 16s.
The only thing right now, I don't know if you saw that you guys had stayed until the end of the podcast. Apple for Earth Day is running a promotion they hadn't run in the past recently. That apparently you can get a whole bunch of discounts if you turn in old Apple products, and there's a list of them that are usually get no trade-in, that they're useless and don't work, but they'll give you money. They'll give you discounts.
Nice.
So they've got that promo for Earth Day.
I am once again thinking, going through the whole thought process, do I want an iPad? And we talked about that before, how there's the iPad
Let me
ladder.
tell you something, and
And
I'll
I
tell
don't-
you
I-
that
I-
right now I find myself using because my old iPad, there were certain reasons I used it, but not as much. This one, to do one, I find myself using it quite a lot now.
I figure at this point, like, if I were to go iPad again, I would intentionally go mid range. I don't think I can like I'd go for
Well, one
an
thing I
iPad
realized is I don't need all the storage. Not
Mm.
now, because I'm streaming.
because
A lot of
everything's on the cloud.
Everything's on the cloud. I didn't really, before I needed all of it, especially when I was flying, because many times like there wasn't internet on the flights. But you know what? It does have enough of a
Now-
cache, and now I can stream audio and video on the damn planes anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I keep thinking like, at minimum, I want the same amount of memory that I have on my phone, but I'm thinking, probably don't even need that, So anyway, I'm thinking about it. We'll see. I don't know. It would be a splurge, but like, we'll see. Anyway, we are done. Thank you, everybody, for
Done.
joining us yet again. Have a great week. Stay safe. Have fun, but not too much fun. All the stuff I usually say. And Yvonne and I, if all goes well, nothing unexpected happens, we'll be back again next week. Goodbye.
Bye.
Okay, that's it. Have a lovely evening, Yvonne.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.